Chairman for the 2021 East St. Louis National Panhellenic Council Honors to Greek Week. Tonight, you're in for a special treat. Thank you for joining us for Throwback Thursday. This program features interviews from some of our more seasoned fratters and sorors, and they're going to talk to you about what it was like being Greek then and now. What I mean by seasoned is by years of service to their organization. Each member has been in their organization 30 years or more, with some of them having 50 plus years of uninterrupted service. The East St. Louis National Panhellenic Council is rich in history. Our members often get the opportunity to share their thoughts, their wisdom, and their ideas with members of their own organization. So tonight is a treat for them as well. The Divine Nine organizations range in founding from 1906 to 1963, with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated being the first, and Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated being the last to join our Divine Nine. We thank you again for joining us tonight, and we hope you enjoy the program.
We represent.
For more than a century, Black Greek organizations have made their voices heard on college campuses and in communities across the country.
Well, the founders of these organizations, they understood that the pathway forward for us was together through unity.
House Democratic Caucus Chair Hakeem Jeffries joined Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity at the age of 18.
And it really was the first time in my life that anyone of importance and authority suggested to me that they saw some leadership qualities and attributes within me, and it's a moment that I've never forgotten.
Moments like that, shared by many in the Divine Nine, the 9 Black sororities and fraternities that comprise the National Panhellenic Council. Vice President Kamala Harris has been outspoken about the impact her sorority has had on her.
And along the way, you find people who help you become your true self. For me, that was my beloved Alpha Kappa Alpha sisters.
In an election cycle marked by historic firsts, it's hard to ignore the role these organizations have played. Georgia elected its first Black senator, and America sent a Black woman to the White House, both members of the Divine Nine.
When I look at what Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and other members of the Divine Nine are doing now, we're seeing that they are dedicated to voter education, mobilization, and participation. We're also seeing that even during a pandemic, the service never stops.
Groundbreakers and trailblazers have always, in so many different ways, been connected to the Black fraternity and sorority organizations, including the great Shirley Chisholm, who was a proud member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
I have always been a catalyst for change.
The founders of these organizations, while they perhaps could never have envisioned that one day we would ascend to the highest levels of power and authority in the land, including within the Congress and now the White House, but I certainly know they dreamed it and believed that they were laying a foundation for great things to occur.
But because of my HBCU and Divine Nine family, I know I'm never the only person who looks like me or has had my life experiences.
Even today, we are 113 years after our founding. That is a strong legacy. And we're still able to see the ways in which the United States does not treat all of its citizens equally. Have they gotten better? Definitely. They have definitely improved from where they were 113 years ago. But can they be improved? Also, yes. We are passionate about the same issues within our communities, within the world at large, and we work together in order to achieve common goals. And if that isn't family, I don't know what is.
A family that will remain rooted behind members as they embark on their barrier-breaking journeys.
All right. Good afternoon, Brother Lloyd.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Ambassador Elong, and we just want to pick your brain, sir, about your time in the fraternity. I'm going to
Okay.
ask you a few questions, all right?
Okay.
So what is your advice on Greek unity back when you pledged in reference to now?
Well, I kind of thought about it, and I think Greek unity at that time, and I assume when you say Greek unity, you're talking not only Alpha Phi Alpha, but are you also talking the other organizations?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I think back at that time, Pan Hell played a large part in Greek unity. They gave events where you had awards programs for the different members in your fraternity, and we would pick Brother of the Year and New Brother of the Year, things like that, and we would go to an awards program. That was pretty nice. We also had a picnic that we did together that brought the organizations together, and we normally supported each other. And when they gave their different events, we would support each other very much so. And I find that is still true today. I think Pan Hell plays a large part in the unity among the Greek community. But I see another avenue or another aspect of it, and that's the social media. I think social media has taken it to another level. I think the communications, you know what each organization is doing when their social function is going on. If something has to come up real quick, each organization can get in touch with one another. There is exposure of a newsletter, which gives each organization an idea of what's going on in a given month. And so I actually feel that through the Panhellenic, actually our Greek unity is even stronger now. And we've grown closer because the communications is so much better between the organizations.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And it's really important for us to support one another, because at the end of the day, you know, we're people of color trying to just make graduate from college and going to do great work in the community. So it's really good that that you all had set the precedence for us back in your day, and that we can still do some of those things today.
Now, one thing I would like to see though with the paneling, and I notice a lot of times I notice that the Panhellenic duplicates things and asking you to support their, different scholarships and different things that they already do. What I would like to see Panhellenic do is to bring the chapters together and to build a community center, which actually we all could use. Mm-hmm. And for the community, where you can have banquets, provide that for the community, office space for each, and other things could happen with that community center. But I would like to see us go a little bit larger. Instead of supporting the things that we support each other with, is actually go a little larger and make a big difference in the community.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. So the next question is, what do you care to share about the social climate from then versus now, from when you became an Alpha versus now?
I remember I was reflecting on thinking about that in the time I became Alpha. I could remember after a chapter meeting, we would, some of the brothers, different groups of brothers, we'd get together, we'd go out, we maybe to one club or maybe two clubs, and you had to remember to tell that when you got home to tell the wives that we had a nice long meeting. On that, every once in a while, the brothers will forget and get in trouble, but we had a good time doing that. We still had the picnics. I think it seemed like we did a little bit more family things together. I know during the Founders Day program, we would not only bring the wives, but we bring our kids to the Founders Day program, and they got to get a little bit taste of Alpha. We would have picnics. We had more formal dances back then, where we liked to dress and the wives to put on their evening gowns, and we would put on our tuxedos and gather it like that.
Yeah.
The community programs, we had what we call the Judge Billy Jones program, which was an oratorical program that got the youth involved in making speeches as they do at our district and state and national level. We had botillions, where we got the young men involved, and it's just the reverse of the cotillion with the ladies, but we got that involved. And we also involved our mentoring program, the Lights of Alpha. And we got involved with the Midwestern Leadership Development Institute, where we would choose some young men who were amazing. We tried to get the seniors who were getting close to graduation, but we would take other young men and would introduce them to a college in a different state. And they would meet other young men from other states, and we'd have activities. The college would have an opportunity to tell what they offered and what, but it was a very good program that we did in the past. We kind of haven't done those things lately, but coming up to today's climate, things have somewhat changed. We've got the Derby Party, which has been a very successful event. Unfortunately, COVID has kept us from getting that. But we got the Juneteenth coming up. And I think, again, the social media has played a real large in the social climate, in that we've got what you call group me.
Yeah.
And the brothers, they love group me, especially with these football games. My God.
And I'm not a sports person at all, but I'm becoming more, knowledgeable about sports because of the group me.
But it also gives brothers an opportunity on the different things, that the agendas that they have going on, like yourself, and the poetry that you read, and it gives a venue where you can let the brothers know that this is what's going on, and give them an opportunity to go. So that has, again, the social media has made a big difference. It doesn't seem, sometimes we may not meet physically as much as we did in the past, but we meet probably a lot more over the media on that. And so we stay in touch. We might even, I don't know if we learn more about each other over the media as you would have been close, one by one in person. I kind of think maybe in person you might get a little bit more information versus over the social media. But all in all, it's been good. I don't think it's been a distraction for us, and especially in this time of COVID. I mean, it's kept us together, definitely, the social media has.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Kudos to technology, right?
That's correct.
So our last question, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, sir. But our last question is, what has been an active member of Alpha Phi Alpha? How long have you been in Alpha now?
It'll be 47 years in April.
Wow. Wow. Congratulations on that. So what has been an active member of Alpha Phi Alpha for 47 years meant to you?
Thinking about that, it's, I guess, first of all, it's the brotherhood, the brothers themselves, being in different fields and different interests. And I think one of the big highlights for me, it really still motivates me, it was going to a general convention. My first general convention was in Atlanta, Georgia. And just meeting meeting brothers from all over the country and from all different backgrounds, and some brothers that you saw on TV, you saw in the newspaper, and one thing became very apparent to me is that the brothers can be very arrogant and egotistical on that. But when you get in the meetings, you get to talk to them, you can also, that they're very civic minded and very committed. That really struck me. And every year that I go to a general convention, it just motivates me more but but the brothers in the local chapter, the things we've done, the fun we've had, the chances we've gone, opportunities we've had has motivated through the years. I must admit, though, as I'm getting over and I'm in my 70s now, and the motivation it was starting to wane. However, this last couple of years with the influx of new members, younger brothers coming in, the enthusiasm that they display, the willingness to work has really motivated me and got me more interested in being more going now. I'm kind of quieted down in my activities. I've held every office in the local chapter except presidency, but I'm quieting down and wanting to let the younger brothers have their opportunity. So I'm sitting back and enjoying.
That's great, sir. That's great. Well, thank you for all you do to inspire brothers from your generation and then my generation and then all those in between. And just thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
Okay, Brother Long, I appreciate the call and the opportunity to give my opinion. I thank you for that.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure. And we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, now. You have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good evening, Sora Laura Jones. How are you? I am so glad that you are here with me this evening. And I'd like to have a little conversation with you. And I'd like to talk to you about your years in service as a Golden Soror for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And my first question would be, what is your advice on Greek unity back when you pledged and now?
Wow, that was a long time ago, Marche. Well, as you know, I attended Grambling State. It was Grambling College at that time, but now it's Grambling State University. And during that time, as a college student back there, I don't remember too much unity between the sororities and fraternities on campus because there was really, as far as I knew, no Panhellenic council. And of course, on a college campus, most of the organizations are really concerned about themselves, their own organization, and their existence and presence on campus. But as far as it is today, I see some unity. We saw that most recently during the most recent election when our soror Kamala, ran for vice president. And that was when the Divine Nine and all of the organizations came together and put their heads together to make sure that she would be a winner. And with that, now we know that she was, and she is our vice president. Today, unity is somewhat more evident. We can see it as the groups work together to promote the programs of each organization. So I can truly say that now we see more of it than we saw back in the days when I became an AKA.
Well, okay, that sounds fantastic. And now, what do you care to share about the social climate then and now?
In reference to the social climate back there, during that time, it hasn't really changed very much from when I was in school. We are beginning to see a glimpse of hope, and we thought we were, but now it seems like things are a little bit different. And hopefully with our new president and all that we have going on in our sororities and our groups, that we will begin to see the social climate improve. We just need to know that it can be done and it will improve. Reality has to kick in, and we have to develop a different attitude and more respect for each other as a country, per se, more than as the individual organizations.
Fantastic. And what has been an active member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority for years meant to you?
Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, there's nothing like it. When I became a member, I became committed for a lifetime. And I knew that with Alpha Kappa Alpha, there would be many opportunities afforded to me. As a 50-year member, I can truly say that this sisterhood has helped me to develop into a woman of finer womanhood, a lady of finer womanhood. And what we can say is that Alpha Kappa Alpha is a family. We have different families as we go through life. We have our church family, we have our social families, we have our friendship families, but the family of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorors, there's nothing like it. As you know, when you go to conferences and we all see each other, it's like a big reunion. Everybody enjoys being a part of the group and working to help each other. And as far as being a golden soror, there's nothing like it. The opportunities are there to be nurtured and to just be spoiled by the younger sorors. And as I look at Alpha Kappa Alpha now, I'm so glad to see that many of our younger sorors are moving into leadership roles. We all had to start somewhere. And when we did, there were those more seasoned sorors right here in Delta Delta Omega who helped us to become what we are today. And believe me, they were some strong women, and they actually helped us to grow as we did. But the main thing is that we were acceptance to their guidance and mentorship. So I can see that that can become a real asset to our younger sorors. And we are just enjoying the benefits that we enjoy now, that they are just nurturing us through the many activities that they are doing for us as golden sorors.
Well, Soror Laura, that was very interesting. I appreciate you talking with me about this. But before I end, let me ask you, did you say 50 years?
Oh, on April 1st this year, it will be 59 years. And I have never, ever been inactive, been an actively involved soror for 59 years.
How exciting.
Yes,
I'm not
it is.
close to that yet, but I can't wait. And again, I am so happy to have been able to talk with you and get some wisdom and advice from you. Thank you so very much, Soror Laura.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
You have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I got myself, Terry Hawthorne here with brother Wendell, and have a couple questions to ask you about Greek life, pretty much. First question to be, what is your advice on Greek unity back when you pledged and now?
Okay, well, let me say that back in 1977, I'd love to tell you that it was dramatically different from the way it is now as it relates to Greek unity, but it's not. I think that the great thing about the Greeks, while there's always competition, it's that when we all needed to come together, whether it was a political advancement, which is what I see the similarity in, or whether it was community service, we all individually always did our thing just like we do now. But whenever there is a critical need for us to come together, whether it's to get out information regarding the importance of the vote, whether it's getting out information regarding COVID-19, or whether it's information regarding just basic things like food drives and food insecurity and things like that.
Right.
We were doing very similar things to back in 1977, 1988. Back then, with it being in Atlanta, we were helping every black political candidate because it was still the early days of first blacks getting elected to various positions in the city or the county. We were doing our things before the internet. We were the internet, knocking on doors, going in neighborhoods, black and white neighborhoods, asking for votes, having a series of question and answer practices that allowed us to answer anything that somebody who may not be for the Black elected official or the person running for a position, we were always prepared for that. So the long and the short of it is, it's very similar, not a lot of difference other than clearly the technology now, but the fraternities and the sororities, just like now, worked in concert with each other to make sure that we provided our communities. And in Atlanta, which is, in my estimation, the blackest community outside of Africa on the planet, we were always communicating with our communities to make sure that the best information could be provided, whether you were a Kappa, whether you were AKA, whether you were Zeta or Sigma. We always worked in unison, always competitive, but again, always in unison. We always tried to be the best that we could be. And when it was individual, just like now, we always tried to be the best that we could be as individual organizations, but always in partnership and concert.
Right. Okay. Okay. So what, my second question would be, what do you care to share about the social climate from then to now?
I think that that's actually a very good question. Sadly, it has not changed from my perspective. There was always a challenge around Black elected officials. There was always a need for Black organizations, and in most instances, the young people, the college age people, the fraternities and sororities, and then the different branches of organizations like SNCC and NAACP. We were always involved back in those days in making sure that we were addressing whatever was going on. Like, for example, as a college athlete that you were, we college athletes during the MLK celebrations, we were not supposed to be marching during the MLK week in the midst of preparing for basketball games, in the midst of trying to get Congress to give Martin Luther King a national holiday. And, I'm sorry, we would sneak out and march and hopefully not get caught by the basketball coach, because we knew the value of the importance, and we were doing it as sororities, as fraternities. And, again, kind of like the answer to the first question, always engaged. And quite honestly, sadly, to some degree, no real difference than, 40 plus years later. But at the same time, proud that the sororities and the fraternities are always actively engaged. Never saw a bougie side of sororities and fraternities growing up in the Atlanta University Center. While they may have been perceived to be bougie, we were always in the streets. We were always engaged in whatever was unfair. And whether it was marching, whether it was disseminating information, like I said, door to door during critical elections, whether it was marches into communities that were unfair to Black people, we were always doing our thing. And I don't see any real difference now. We're still doing our thing.
Right. Okay. Okay. So another question would be, what has been an active member of your organization for years meant to you?
Well, during one of our ritualistic activities, there's something that I always say that can be said publicly, that outside of being a son, outside of being a Christian, the longest thing I've ever been has been a Kappa. I've been a Kappa longer than I've been a high school graduate. I've been a Kappa longer than I've been a college graduate. I've been a Kappa longer than I've been a husband, grandfather, etc. in the formal workplace. So it has always meant an incredible amount to me as it relates to not necessarily who I am, because I feel like I bring to Kappa something that Kappa needs, which is a forward-thinking Black man who's not afraid to stand up for what he believes is right, and also someone who's extraordinarily brotherly, who believes in all the attributes of Kappa Alpha Psi. Try to live it every day. Always have tried to live it every day, and for me, it is a critically important piece of who I am internally. Well, I may not utilize it externally all the time. It is very clear, I think, once people start talking to me, that I am without a doubt a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, and an absolute person who believes in all the attributes of being a Kappa from the perspective of being a good contributing member of society. Always felt like that. Kappa is near and dear to me. I am third generation and anxiously waiting for my grandson to become fourth generation. He's still got about 10 years to go, because all that is good in Kappa, I think, is no different than all that is good in Wendell E. Kimbrough. So for me, Kappa is as good as it gets. And for me, Kappa is something that I'm always going to contribute to, because Kappa is good for Black America. Kappa is good for all of America. Kappa Alpha Psi is good for every campus that it's on. And from my perspective, there's nothing better.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Well, that was the last question that I had.
Back in the old days, 50 years ago, we isolated ourselves more than we do now. We did not participate with other groups nearly as much as we do today. We mostly stayed in our own groups, competed with other fraternities and sororities to see who could throw the best parties and the best get-togethers and brag about them. Long-time member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity has allowed me to build local and international friendships with a lot of like-minded people. Networking socially with civic groups. All the Divine Nine groups have assumed the responsibility for civic activities and issues now, a lot more so than we did a number of years ago. Omega Psi Phi and the New chapter of East St. Louis, Illinois, especially, have been involved with all kinds of activities, being named International Chapter of the Year for several years, being named our District Chapter of the Year for several years, and all because of the activities that we participated in, things like blood drives, voter registration drives, city cleanups, information sharing for the community. I'm real proud of what this group of younger brothers that have come in over the years have participated in and done, and helped build a reputation for Omega Psi Phi that I think has been beneficial in leading and exposing some of the other groups who are now participating just as well.
From Johnson C. Smith University.
The history of Black Greek letter organizations like the one I'm a part of, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, dates back to the early 1900s, when African-American students were excluded from Greek organizations on predominantly white campuses.
Black sororities and fraternities were created on the basis of exclusion, right? At some point, there were a group of Black men who were trying to be part of an organization, and they needed votes. One white vote meant they couldn't be a part of the organization, so they decided to start their own.
Leland Howard is the president of the National Panhellenic Council of Charlotte, an organization that brings all 9 Black Greek letter organizations together for one common cause.
We are able to work together to ensure that there's change in the community. We work together to ensure that policies and social policies are being pushed.
Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is the first Black Greek letter fraternity founded in 1906 at Cornell University. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is the first Black Greek letter sorority founded on the campus of Howard University in 1908. Also called the Divine Nine, these sororities and fraternities were founded on the principle of service, and it's a value that is still upheld to this day.
We're out in the community, we're helping with voter education, we're helping with healthcare education, homelessness, we're feeding the homeless, we're out collecting supplies.
Over the years, African Americans have joined Black Greek letter organizations for a variety of reasons. I turned to a few of my colleagues to find out their why.
My mother and my aunts are all members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and my uncle is a member of Omega Psi Phi. So growing up, I saw the service. I saw them being dedicated to giving back to their community.
My stepdad's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, so that's all I ever knew. That's all he ever told me about.
The Sigmas, they helped me move in. They kind of sheltered me. They guided me. So it just in my head, I was like, well, if I was to ever, play it, it would be probably that, because that's what stood out to me the most.
They kind of adopted me as a little brother who came in as a freshman. And I just admired the respect that they demanded from the team and the respect that they got on campus. And it was something that I wanted to be a part of.
A part of organizations that often felt underestimated.
We enjoy being underestimated because when we walk into spaces and people have doubted us, we're showing beyond compare that we're ready, we're excited, and that we have been leading for a long time. It's just a matter of other people recognizing.
Hi, I'm Jackie Settles, a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, East St. Louis Alumni Chapter. I have been a Delta for 51 years. I have been financial and active with East St. Louis Alumni Chapter and Epsilon Xi Chapter since I was made in Epsilon Xi in 1970. So I'm very proud to be asked to give some ideas or thoughts about things then and things now. Well, I had to do a little reality check, and I'm going to say this very honestly. Back 51 years ago, the realization that we were in the midst of a war, we were having trouble on campuses, all kinds of crises were going on, and some of us were a little standoffish with each other. Our Greek letter organizations were separate as opposed to unified. And yet in the middle of the crisis, we realized we were very dependent upon each other. Most of us were members of the Black Student Association at SIU, Edwardsville, and we liked being part of the Student Association. But it also made us aware of all the things that were going on in the community, in the nation, on campuses. And so we realized one of the things we had to do was be more supportive to each other. Without the support of each other, we could not accomplish our many public service activities, our programs that we wanted to do. We had bake sales on campuses, and who are you going to sell to? You can't sell just to each other. And we realized that the reality was we needed to be friend and be involved with all the other groups. And they also realized the same thing. And so we became more unified and united in all of the activities. Today, that story is the same story. The crisis is different. The world is different. But we know one thing, as an organization, and Panhellenic is teaching us that, the Panhellenic Council, which we all are members of, all the Greek Black letter organizations are members of, realize that we must be unified. We must work together. We must stay together. We now have elected a Black female to the White House, and we did that together through our activities in voter registration and all other kinds of activities, paying monies to various groups to help get the word out that we were together and united. So that is then and now. We know we need each other and we must work together to be united. Because it gives me encouragement to see our young sorors actively and aggressively involved in making the sorority strong. Now, let me start with this in terms of my 50 years. Of course, I've been active the entire 51 years. I've never been inactive. I'm a Golden Life member, paid in full, which doesn't mean anything anymore because it took you were supposed to be paid in full in 10 years. And my husband I was fortunate enough to have a husband who said, oh, let's pay this off. So he did. But you asked the question, what has it meant to me? It's meant being involved with like-minded women who care, who have principles, who want to do something special in the community to make it better and stronger. Listening to you today talk about, I'm talking to a child on the phone who's a student of mine. It was so encouraging and so important because as a young woman in the work field, that's exactly what I did. I talked to at that time, students or young people that were involved in the correctional system. And I had other women who were also doctors who were involved in the system. Some of them, however, were not. And they asked the question, what can we do to help support you in what you're doing in law enforcement? And people like Lavondia Neely, our soror who passed away, soror Abby Martin, one of our charter members of the East St. Louis Alumni Chapter, who passed away at 102 and was always active. It made me know the need to work with individuals with like-minded ideas, who wanted to serve the community, who wanted to give back. And that was the role that the sorority played for me, working with people that helped me to help what I was doing move forward, go forward, and that I could also help other women just like me who are interested in making this community stronger, better, and bigger. And we're going to continue this fight because the fight goes on now. As we face the coronavirus, as we face women's shelters that need furnishing, as we face children who are now in homes where there's food needed, and we're needing to get the food to them, that we're able to reach out together to make life better for the community. Together, we're strong. And that's what the sorority has meant to me. The strength that we get from each other and from building and growing as a community with a purpose and as a sorority with a purpose. And I am deeply, deeply in love with Delta Sigma Theta sorority. It has done a lot for me, with me, and about me.
Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with one of our members, Brother Gerald Fuller, who is going to give us some ideas and share some wisdom about his walk in this great fraternity of ours, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Brother Fuller, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dr. Wills. How about yourself? How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for taking time to sit in for this interview today and shed some light on the folks of NPHC and others about your time as a member of this wonderful organization. So the first thing I want to take a stab at, Brother Fuller, is just to talk about unity amongst Greeks. So what is your advice on Greek unity back when you pledged and now?
Great question. Thank you for the question, Brother Wills. Fraternities and sororities were founded based on their individual principles. So when you pledging that organization, your focus is to become or transition into a bond, a brotherhood or sisterhood, and become the best member that you can for that organization. Knowing that most of our principles involve a social aspect, back in the day, my advice to the collegiate bros then was to leverage that social lens as a way of showing unity among the Greek organizations on the yard at the campus of SIUE. Today, my advice is not to only continue to leverage that social lens, but also the professional diversity to show both unity and strength while creating network opportunities in those positive relationships with other Greeks.
Gotcha. Wonderful answer, especially in viewing this answer from a social lens. I'm gonna stay there in the social space here for a moment, and just ask you, what do you care to share about the social climate then and now?
Um, Back then on the yard, the social climate was more siloed, meaning you saw Sigmas hanging with Sigmas, AKAs hanging with AKAs, um, um, and so on. But from an alumni perspective, the social climate is more diverse. In most cases, your best friend is a part of another organization. And so you see more fratters hanging with other fratters and more sorors hanging with other sorors as we creating those networking opportunities and those positive relationships.
Great, great. The relationships are definitely important in any organization. It's also good to make sure you're sharing your love with other organizations as well. So, as Brother Fuller, you have been a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated for 34 years now. I'm sure you've definitely had some times that you have been proud of being a part of this great organization. So, this next question, I just want to know from you, what has being an active member of your organization for 34 years meant to you?
Oh, Brother Wills, it means a lot, man, um, to be embedded into the principles and philosophy of this great organization. It puts me in the space where I don't never want to stop contributing and learning about the things of Phi Beta Sigma while creating lifelong relationships with the bros and their family.
Oh, great, great.
My name is Henry Anderson. I've been a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity for 48 years, and I am a proud member of Nu Gamma Sigma Chapter. Many people chose to belong to the Black Greek organizations because it was a means of having a social outlet and an identity. Nowadays, we have many avenues to network and socialize. Therefore, I think people who belong and new people who complete the MIP process are looking to try to right the many wrongs of society, the many social injustices that we endured in the past. We are also trying to help our young brothers and sisters by providing mentorship and educational programs. Okay? The social climate 48 years ago was somewhat tense. As part of the Divine Nine, organizations in the past stayed within their respective groups. They didn't come out and socialize too much with other groups. And they did not combine efforts to work together. Today it is different. We strive to work together on community projects, and we even sometimes do large social events together. There is a feeling of solidarity. Being an active member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated for 48 years has afforded me the opportunity to meet a lot of individuals who share the same ideals and principles. Furthermore, being a member of Phi Beta Sigma has truly driven home the idea that I belong to a group of conscious men who truly understands the principle that we are truly our brother's keeper.
Everyone, I am here with Sigma Gamma Rho's cultured pearl, soror Tommy Randolph. Good afternoon, soror Randolph.
Good afternoon, my sister.
We're talking to our sorors and our fratres who have been in our organizations 50 years plus. And my question to you is, what is your perception of Greek unity back when you pledged to where it is now?
Back when I pledged, we had a ball. All Greeks had a ball. We were friends. We supported each other. When one group had something, everyone was there. When the other group had something, we were all there. We were like one big happy family. The social climate then was always positive. Everybody had everybody's back. Didn't matter what organization you were in. We were all in it together. We were like brothers and sisters. I can't really speak on how it is now with the undergrads, but with the graduate chapters, we are pretty much on the same page. We are all friends. We know each other. We are families. We are in different organizations. We have families in different organizations, but we come together very good through the National Panhellenic Council. So we're having a good time, we're enjoying ourselves, and everybody's positive as far as I can tell, and I'm loving it.
That is your take on the social climate of Greekdom then and now. Soror Randolph, what has being an active member of Sigma Gamma Rho for the past 55 years meant to you?
I am loving it. The camaraderie from the day one when we came in. See, I can't do this. It's bittersweet. I am the fourth, I believe, oldest soror in our chapter. All of the other sorors are gone, and I miss them. They were ladies of refinement, of culture. They stressed being ladies. They stressed community service, and I miss them dearly. Moving into where we are now, this is still here with us. We are still involved in community service. Even though of the coronavirus, we are still out and about, doing what we can do with the community, doing what we were taught back years ago in the 60s from the sorors who have left us. This is a very bittersweet moment for me.
Thank you so much, Soror Randolph.
Girl.
I am divine.
I am divine.
Greater service, greater progress. I am Sigma Gamma Rho.
Culture for service, service for humanity. I am Phi Beta Sigma.
By culture and by merit. I am Alpha Kappa Alpha.
First of all, servants of all, we shall transcend all. I am Alpha Phi Alpha.
Community conscious, action oriented. I am Zeta Phi Beta.
Achievement in every field of human endeavor. I am Kappa Alpha Psi.
Intelligence is the torch of wisdom. I am Delta Sigma Theta.
Friendship is essential to the soul. I am Omega Psi Phi.
I am divine.
I am divine.
I am divine. I am divine. I am divine.
Divine, the history, legacy, and celebration of African American Greek lettered organizations.